When I look at this question, I immediately know that they're testing units. One is that the question itself just has a lot of units in it, but also they're doing this thing where they kind of, in parentheses, tell me some conversion that I'm supposed to know. So that's a pretty good clue that the units are going to matter. So whenever units matter, it's really important to show your work, because the SAT is hoping that you miss one of the units somewhere along the way, and if this were multiple choice, I guarantee you that missing that number would get you one of the wrong answers. But even here, where we have no choices, we really want to make sure we're confident with what we're doing. This isn't hard if we show our work. So let me show you how I structure what I'm going to do. The question itself makes it clear we're kind of dealing with a ratio as well. So the answer is supposed to be in feet per second. That's a fraction, right? So I don't know the number of feet per second, but I know my answer is going to kind of look like a ratio, where based on all the other information I'm given, I'm able to kind of like get this down to X feet per 1 second, okay? So the reason I care so much about what the answer unit is going to be is it helps me kind of work backwards to get there. I want to use fractions to compare. So I look and I say, okay, well, I'd love to have some units that are similar, right? So this is a speed, and in the question, they're telling me 200 miles per hour. Well, that's also a speed. So what I want to do is convert 200 miles in 1 hour to some number of feet per second. But the equation I just set up is wrong, because you can't do that. You can't just convert miles to feet and seconds to hours. Like, you have to do stuff to those numbers to convert them. Now, I'm going to use multiple fractions to make the conversion and do it all at once. So what I look at is I'm like, okay, I've got some problems. I'd like the bottom to be in seconds, but the speed I was given is in hours, so I got to get rid of that. Well, remember, when we have fractions and we multiply them, if something is on the top of the fraction and the bottom, it's going to disappear. So I'm using that fact to my advantage, but this time I'm not using numbers, I'm using units. So let me show you what I mean. I know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Now, because I have the unit hours on the top and hours on the bottom, when I multiply these two fractions, they're going to cancel out. So I've just gotten rid of one of my problems. I've gotten rid of the hours. But I haven't quite solved the problem yet, because I don't want minutes either. I want seconds. But that's okay. I can just add another fraction, right? 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So that's going to let me get rid of minutes. And now look, the bottom fraction on the left, with the one that I want, has seconds on the bottom. Check. And the fraction I have on the right now only has seconds on the bottom. That's a good thing. That's what I wanted to happen. So one problem is solved. I also need to solve the problem, though, on the tops, right? Because I don't want miles on the top, which is what I have right now. I need to get rid of that and have feet on the top. Well, that's okay, too. I can use the same exact principle, except this time I want something that's going to put miles on the bottom, right? And look, they gave that to me in the question. 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. So this lets me do the same thing. It crosses out miles because there's a miles on the top and a miles on the bottom, and it leaves me with feet, which is the unit I wanted. So we could do this in steps and convert every single number and do it one piece at a time, but the reason I like the way I'm doing it is that I know when I've done it right, because all of my units that I don't want should cancel out. But all the units that I do want should be left in the right places in these fractions on both sides of the equation. So I know that my setup is done. Now it's just a matter of cleaning it all up. And because fractions are easy to multiply, the math here is not hard. Basically, we just take all these numbers on the top, 2, 1, 1, 5, 2, 80, and we're going to multiply them all together. So this is a job for our calculators. 200 times 5,000, 280. It's a big number, but you can just write it down and make sure you don't lose it. 105,6000. Right, so that's x feet per second. And yeah, technically that's the number of feet. And we do the same thing on the bottom. 1 hour, 60, 61. So 60 times 60 is 3,600 seconds. Okay, and now simplify. So 105,6000 divided by 3,600 is 293.33 seconds, or feet per second. So that's our answer, but notice they want the nearest whole number, so don't just write that. 293 is our answer. It's annoying, but mathematically, think about it, we're just multiplying and dividing, so are they really testing math here, or are they testing organization? And that's something we've seen in other places in the SAT, that sometimes it's about being able to sort through the information that they give you and just make sense of it. I think that that's what's going on here. And so when they're dealing with units, that's a clue to be really, really organized, because that's what they're testing. Show your work and use this kind of like fraction strategy here to make sure that everything crosses out and that you've got everything you need before you actually start to solve. Be organized, don't forget anything, and these ones should be some relatively easy points.